Hi there. It's Tom and Tom podcasting from wherever we happen to be at the moment. We don't even care what side of the world we're on. We just do it. And today, I get to have the surprise topic for Tom. And, I wrote a little comment to somebody to somebody's post on LinkedIn, and it sparked a thought. And that thought is that innovation sucks. I mean, it's a lot of bad things about it, like everybody talks about how innovation is important and great. But the truth of the matter is that it's disruptive, it's exhausting, it's fraught with risk, and there's just all kinds of things that make you really not want to have to innovate. And we sit here on our high horse, us consultant types, and say, you need to be more of an innovator if you want to stay on top. And it's true. You do have to be an innovator.
Sorry.
But it does suck. And the thing that occurs to me is that you can have too much innovation. I didn't have time to research, and I wanted to do that before this topic, and maybe we'll do a follow up later with some examples of this. But there are companies out there that were so focused on innovation that it just drove them under, because when you're innovating, you're not blocking and tackling. You're not serving customers necessarily. Innovation may benefit a small group of customers that you're piloting something new with or something, but you don't want to innovate with your entire customer population, because that's over the top risky. That's dumb risky. So where's the balance? You got to find the balance.
Some of our biggest corporations who began being innovative, right? So Facebook, they burned through like $60 billion on their metaverse innovation, right?
Right.
Apple has still, to this day, we're in June of 2026, still hasn't released a good version of Siri able to do just normal voice communication that we've all been doing now for 3 years on at least 5 or 10 different products, because they released an innovative headset. They were focused on innovation, spending also billions of dollars building a product that nobody wanted.
And let's not forget Google Glass, a product that was way before its time. And it makes an interesting point there, Tom, that timing has a lot to do with innovation. Like, you can't get too far ahead of the market or they will punish you for it.
And since I picked on Apple, and Steve Jobs is dead. That's my slogan when I talk about Apple. But it's my understanding that Steve Jobs had the vision for the iPad, an early vision for the iPad, around like 1983. And it's like, why didn't you do it? And he's like, the technology wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And 93 wasn't there.
I just want to add that Gene Roddenberry had the idea for the iPad back in the 60s.
60s.
He didn't try to build it then.
That's funny, because I was an employee at Accuson, a sonography company that since got acquired by Siemens. And in the early 1990s, when I worked with them, they would talk about one of the visions for the future of ultrasound was the tricorder.
Right. And then they had an X
Right?
Prize recently for the tricorder. I don't know if you were aware of that, but
I didn't realize that.
they had $1 million prize out for somebody who could invent the best tricorder.
The I was thinking about a tangential subject today in case it became my subject.
Ah,
Um, because we talk about in our book ceremony and the power of ceremony and how ceremony is useful. And I think one of the things that we under talk about is ceremony can produce wonderful stability, mental and emotional stability and support for your employees in the midst of massive change.
yes.
So if you're going to like, so these don't need to be at odds. Sort of the mental and emotional well-being of your employees and the need to do extensive innovation. The two can go hand in hand.
It's a
But what employees need, yeah, is stability. They
very
need a
important.
degree of stability.
And if you think about it, it's a very important observation. If you think about some of the most well-known ceremonies, they occur amidst massive change.
Mm,
Births, weddings, funerals. I mean, these are the biggest events life has to offer you. And how do we
graduation.
deal with them? We deal with them with ceremonies. That's how we do it.
And Menlo, one of the companies that I founded, where we really codified about a dozen or maybe 18 ceremonies that we regularly ran. What we literally mean by that, for anyone who hasn't had it, a ceremony is a structured meeting that come together, and in the same way that a ceremony, the ones that Tom just mentioned, are powerful. What makes a ceremony different from a meeting is they all have a specific purpose. People understand what they are, what they're going to do, and their role in it. So if your week is divided into a half a dozen different ceremonies, everyone knows, look, at 10 a.m. on Monday, we're going to plan and we're going to do it in a structured, formal way. So it's a ceremony. And at the end of that, it's okay if what I work on changes. So the stability is not that I get to work on the same thing for the next 6 months or a year. My stability is my work is punctuated by these structured ritual events that I come to know and expect, and that ground myself and that ground my week. And in the midst of doing those ceremonies, I can have a tremendous amount of change week to week. I mean, the way we made that rule is every Monday at 10 a.m. when we did this ceremony, what you're working on that week will change. And we, for the most part, never changed what we were working on between that Monday and the following Monday. So we would protect your time and your focus in those weekly sort of focused iterations. And so that gave people stability and comfort, allowed them to do work in small, tiny pieces to deliver value and to demonstrate it at a ceremony on usually every Friday in a show and tell ceremony. And then if everything changed on Monday, everyone was fine with it because we created a stability in the midst of change, which allows for innovation. And I think it's really hard to do innovation without that and not break your people.
Yeah, that's a really powerful point, Tom. And that's why you're here, because you have those kind of really powerful points.
Well, I think.
And you did write the whole section on ceremony in the book, so you are, and you have another book with Kyle
Yeah,
about
entirely on
ceremony.
ceremony.
Yeah, so
And it, usually a chapter on it ends up in almost any book I'm writing with anybody.
right, it's an essential ingredient for good practice, and back to my original point. While ceremony can ground you during these times of disruption that you create for yourself when you decide to make a big innovation, you you need to balance it with getting the work of the business done in the moment.
Mm.
It's important that there always be something going on, some innovation. Not too many, though, is the point I'm trying to make. If you task everybody with innovation all the time, you'll have chaos, and your customers will know it. You will sometimes have to do innovations that your customers feel. We have talked about some of the biggies, like when, IBM decided we're not going to sell computers anymore except for a few large mainframes to, certain type of institutions. The rest of it we're done with, and we're going to just be a consulting company now. I mean, a lot of people that counted on them for a lot of things suddenly found themselves going, whoa, what? You mean I got to sell my mini computer now and go buy a local area network? Yeah, you do. Or maybe DEC will take care of you before they go out of business.
And then the next company will come
Right.
over.
And then Data General, and then everybody else who went out of business because they didn't do
Wow, you're
what
dating
IBM
yourself.
did. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
But the industry changes, and we always assume that big companies are exempt from making those big innovative changes that transform themselves into what they need to be for the future. But it's been done. It's been done, and it's hard, and we don't want to deal with it. So if you are a big company and you're looking to do something like that, find somebody else, because we don't want it. But if you're a startup or a smaller company that's been stuck in the mud and wants some help with innovation, we will do that.
That'll be fun because we'll actually be able to get something done. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always amazed in my head, when I think about innovation, it's like there's a part of my head that still thinks that Intel is the world's leading and most profitable chip manufacturer. Like, it's like they were there so long in my head.
Yeah, right.
And to realize that's not true anymore, it's just
No.
fascinating, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you think of some of the players now that are, I mean, obviously Nvidia comes to mind right away because
Yeah,
they
of
happen to
course.
be in the AI chip business, which is what a lot of people are buying, and they're expensive. But even if you just look at the regular chip market, you've got ARM, and you've got AMD, and so you've got these organizations out there now that are on a par with Intel in terms of supplying chips, and Apple making their own silicon now. I don't know where they
Yeah,
rank in chip making, but they got to be right up there, maybe bigger than Intel for
yeah.
all I know.
Tesla makes their chips for their cars.
Right, right,
It's like things that you wouldn't think people would be doing have become
right.
common or more common now.
And and,
The
and a little side note, Tom, about when it comes to innovation, uh, when you get big and you try to do protectionist sorts of things, we can take a lesson from the United States, who tried to block China from getting a hold of TSMC's technology, which is actually a European company
yeah,
that designs the chip making equipment that makes the cutting edge chips. And they blocked them from selling to China. And so China was forced to what? To
build their
innovate
own.
on their own. And so now Huawei has developed new technology where they believe that they're on the cusp of making chips that are 50 times more dense than what TSMC can make with their equipment.
And they're already getting down to the realms of physics. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, well, they're stacking, and they figured out new techniques for stacking because you can only put the traces so close together before you run into, like you said, the physics problem of electrons just not from
Left them
jumping.
jumping to the next
Yeah,
to the
right.
next atom.
That's right. It's all too packed together. The electrons
Mm.
won't follow the rules, and
Yeah.
or they follow their own rules is what happens. But stacking has always been a problem because A, it's hard to make those connections, and B, heat dissipation. Well, they've solved those problems
Those are big
because
problems. Yeah, it's a big deal.
yeah. So this is why you can't rest, but you also can't go too crazy. It's balance, finding the right balance.
Asking yourself how you want to live.
Yeah. Well, how much do you innovate? Do you innovate a lot in your company or not at all? Are your innovations big or are they all small? Be interested to hear from you. If you like this topic, give us a like, give us a comment, tell us about some bad innovations or good innovations that you've seen. Love to hear from you. And as always, we ask you to please click the subscribe button down there. It's right down there underneath the screen, the video here. And that way you'll get some more of these videos and hopefully encourage some others to watch them. We're here to help. If we can help you specifically, reach out to us at beintentional.biz. And as usual, this is Tom.
And Tom.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.